If I were governor of my state or mayor of my town, I would be passing new ordinances relating to stiff criminal penalties. I would put the son of a gun in jail. I would change the law. But we're afraid to do it. Arrest the promoter. Find a rationale unrelated to drugs. Keeping an unsafe, for example, I'm the guy who authored the crack house legislation. We can use the crack house legislation to tear down these buildings, to which policed those which on their face are legitimate. You would cut into this in an incredible...
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
It is much more troublesome because they've involved my wife and my 3 daughters. Every time someone gets up and says I'm responsible for the death of people throughout the world, the death threats go up. Yes, there have been everything from harass. There have been credible.
Now, and let me say one more thing. Who has caused this evil? Who has taken Hamas? Who has taken...
We arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor.
Going to have Vice President Harris with us here. I want to thank all of my wonderful former colleagues and friends who you will be seeing, including Attorney General Tish James.
I have lots of different jobs in lots of different spaces, but one of them is working with an organization called Rewiring America. We have $858 billion, billion with a B, moving through the economy to electrify residential spaces. Basically, that means, induction stoves, heat pump water heaters, heat pump HVAC systems. Someone's got to install them. That's 121 million households that will need these pieces of equipment. Right now, we are missing 1.4 million people in the workforce to install this equipment. Of that 1.4 million, 700,000 should be women. We live in those houses. We turn on that thermostat. We are the ones using that equipment. Why shouldn't we be the ones installing?
I don't care what party it's happened from. You've got members who've engaged in revenge porn in this committee. So it is under.
Are the cues in the house?
Don't get nervous, white people. It's never, I promise you. It's not. Ain't nobody attacking the village in that. That's right. But this is very important, and I know from a very...
Transforming food systems is therefore essential by shifting towards healthier, diversified, and more plant-based diets.
We obviously, again, have heard nothing indicating that Joe Biden had anything to do with the business ventures of Hunter Biden or James Biden.
Inflation is now near term at close to the lowest levels we've seen in that survey. So I think Americans do believe inflation's under control.
Appropriations and authorities for both Ukraine and for Israel. But you don't want to be trying to bake in long-term support when you're at the end of the rope. And
now malaria is, of course, transmitted by mosquitoes. I brought some here so you could experience this. We'll let those roam around the auditorium a little bit. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience.
Cases of malaria. 4 are in Florida, 1 is in Texas. These cases are the first to be reported in 20 years, not linked to travel outside the U.S.
Saw a spike in the infection rate, saw a spike in the hospitalizations, saw a spike in the number of deaths.
To work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well too. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure, yeah, and then on top of that, the dual kind of a law of the inflation bill that is going to make sure that there's going to be bridges all across like this, all across America getting rebuilt.